Hello, everyone out there on the interwebs. We're coming at you live and hot with the power of 413 Chicken McNuggets, giving you a full stroke in your ear holes.
Full stroke.
I am Pastor Pinewood, and we also have in our studio today,
Beezy.
Big Beezy. Glad to have you back, man. Number 3.
This is numero tres for our brethren to the south.
And that's true. That's true. Don't start offending anybody just quite yet. We need to get through at least 10 episodes before we start offending people.
Wow. I'm surprised we haven't offended anybody yet.
You've offended me.
Well, that's fair.
That is fair.
Well, it's a good thing your opinion doesn't count.
That's true. Well, also in studio, just kind of chilling in the background, making sure everything runs smoothly, and especially keeping you in line is our wonderful, beautiful producer that is also, unfortunately for her, married to you.
Yep. It's my wife, Rachanda.
So,
you want to say hello?
Hello.
It was very tentative. I'm not sure if she enjoyed that.
It was a mic swing.
All right. Well, we're going to get right into it. But before, I was thinking about something earlier today that I thought maybe we would at least bring back up. Okay. Do you remember, not too long ago, when I met you, that I actually hated you, like a lot?
Oh, yeah. Good God,
It's been a bit.
That was 03.
03. Yeah,
2003. I've known you that long.
I think so. So I'm not going to say what kind of camp, but we met at a camp for the nerdy.
This one time. This one time we met at camp.
I hate to admit that we went to such things, but we did. And I did not like you one bit. And then we went to the same university just a few, 2 months later. And then it took them probably, I don't know, about half a semester. And then,
three months, I believe, before I finally grated on your nerves enough that you caved.
Yeah, this is also how you got married.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so you know, people hate you, and then you just continue to come back and come back and come back for months at a time, and then they have no choice but to give in to your wiles.
I'm persistent.
Well, that's fair. I think persistence is completely and totally underrated.
It's a virtue, I believe. It's in the Bible.
I don't know about that, but I do know,
1 John 13.
I told you to not offend our brethren to the south, or anybody else for that matter.
Oh, I was talking about Juan John down there in Roma.
You mean our boy Juan John?
Oh, Juan John.
Oh, Juan John.
You know Juan John.
He's never going to listen to this. He's way too refined for this podcast.
Good for him.
Now, I will say perseverance in the Bible is definitely noted by Paul, but he's speaking of a great virtue that you do not have, sir.
Well, I mean, that's to be expected.
To be fair.
To be fair.
Well, let's get right into it. First thing, as always, that we start with is our libations library.
Libations!
All right, so what are we drinking today, Brandon?
Today, we are trying, this is actually a beer that neither of us have tasted before. So,
which is rare.
It is.
It's rare to find one.
It is called the Allstat Kolsch. This is actually brewed in Fredericksburg.
Interesting.
Texas.
Good fine German town in the heart of Texas.
Yes. Wonderful wineries all around if you're into that kind of stuff.
We are not.
No, not particular. The wife is.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, what do you say we crack them up and give it a go ski?
All right.
Here we go.
So traditionally, before we sample this, I will say that I'm not a huge Kolsch fan. Typically they're too sweet for me and a little light. We'll see how this one measures up.
Well,
here's to it, my friend.
Clinker.
Clink.
All righty, here we go. Huh.
Well, I don't hate it, and I don't love it.
It's kind of I would say I would drink this over Coors.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's not saying a whole bunch, but it's
fair.
It's definitely true. Here's my issue with it. It tastes like a domestic lager.
It really does. Surprisingly, I kind of figured when I think of Kolsch, I always think of those almost fruited.
Yes.
Almost like a cider.
Maybe not quite.
And of course, that could have just been what I've had. But speaking of the Allstat, I'm not opposed to it. It honestly tastes to me like a quality pale ale.
Well, as a pale ale fan, it's not definitely not a pale ale. There's not enough hops for it to. I don't know. I may be speaking out of my butt on that, but I will say this: this would be a great beer if you've had a long day and you come home and you have to mow the grass.
Yes.
And then
sitting on the mower.
Yes. And right out of the fridge, just as cold as you can possibly get it. One of the beers that we had tried that we're going to review later on is one that almost tastes better room temp.
Yeah.
And this is definitely one that the colder the better.
Yes, I would have to agree.
So I think there's a tendency for some domestic lagers to be a little skunky at times. And this one, I feel if it was a bit warm, it would come off just
skunky.
A touch. I'm
not see that.
Not saying I hate it, but I definitely don't love it. So I'm going to give this a solid 64.
Oh, wow. That's, I hate to say that we're pretty close in tastes on this because I was hovering around 68-ish.
Okay. By the way, I want everybody to know, and I hope you've listened to the first two episodes. But the first episode, Mr. Beezy called my taste palette. It was basically like a dumpster fire in my mouth.
Yes,
I've listened to that about 14 times and giggled every time that I hear it.
As you should.
As I should. But I don't know. It's definitely not wowing me. And I was
Agreed.
a little disappointed from coming out of Fredericksburg. I wanted it to be great.
I was really rooting for this one to be tasty.
Well, such it is.
And I mean, it's not a terrible beer by any stretch of the imagination, but like I said, there's probably better ones out there. That's why it's getting the 68 stamp for me and a 64 from you.
I mean, technically, if this beer was in college, it would still be passing.
Oh yeah, well, Natty Light passes in college, so and that's probably a 2.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever. Maybe we ought to have a completely and total domestic beer like a whole week. We could do like 5 episodes in a row. We could do like Natty Light and PBRs and Coors Light.
It would probably be just cheaper to go get a keg of each. And it'd probably taste slightly better than cans. And almost as expensive.
Yeah, almost. That's true.
Because I think you can get a keg of Natty for $42.
Why do you know that?
Well, that was, and that's what we used to drink back in the day.
No, not we. I didn't.
No, well, back in my heavy drinking days.
Good on you, sir.
21-ish, 22. Ugh. But we'd get it because it was wicked cheap. So there's no telling. I mean, with inflation and everything, I've only been doing economics for a couple of years. So I would have to say it's probably gone down in price.
All right. Well, to get us out of this strongly D-rated beer, let's get right into our questions today. 4 questions. So I've got 2 and Brandon's got 2 as always. And so, Mr. Beezy, I'm going to let you fire off your first question.
All right. So this is coming from an anonymous. And it starts out, how do I get abducted by aliens? It goes on to say, there is many, 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 many stories of people abducted by UFOs.
Wait. Did they really type out many?
I promise you, I just read that verbatim.
All right. That's a good start, by the way, if you want to get abducted by aliens. That kind of syntax. That's a good place to start.
So many stories of people abducted by UFOs. I really, really wish I can go to another galaxy far from this crazy world. And go.
Okay. I mean, I'm at a loss for words. Rarely does that come up, but I don't really. Is this a man? Is it a woman? Do we have any idea?
It's anonymous.
It's anonymous.
So man.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess the first thing would be probably move somewhere in the South.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that seems to be where the majority of these things tend to happen.
I will expound on that one and say a mountainous region.
Okay.
Because they could probably, if not get abducted by aliens, they could catch a case of the Politis.
Oh, that's true. Another topic for another time.
Yes.
If you haven't heard of David Politis, you should definitely look him up.
For certain.
Okay, so and ironically, one of the theories behind the Politis disappearances is in fact aliens. So maybe you got a two there. And I would definitely suggest America's butthole, Roswell, New Mexico. definitely expect. I think that's kind of a hotbed, right?
New Mexico
in general, but Roswell seems to be. And by the way, if your life is so terrible that you want to be abducted by aliens, go ahead and move to Roswell, and it will get worse from wherever you are. I can assure you it will.
Yes,
get worse.
for sure.
So,
or just move to New Mexico. It's all the same. It's a giant Reese's palette.
This is true. So that would be my first suggestion. Move south. Okay. And then from there, you probably need to buy you an old beat up pickup truck. And not a 4-door, but a 2-door Ford early 90s pickup truck.
I know we were both going Ford.
So for sure that, and probably red / a little rust color with one door that's been replaced in total gray primer.
Or white.
Or white. The white's a pretty classy look.
And you have to have one white wall tire.
I like that. And a mullet would help.
Oh, of course.
A mullet would help.
And all 4 tires bald.
Okay. All right. So far, I like that scenario.
Okay.
And then to further your
trailer
chances, you definitely need a trailer. And
yes.
The trailer cannot be connected to any kind of utility.
No water, no electricity.
That's right. Now,
but you will have internet.
I was fixing to say, you will need a giant satellite on top so you can listen to the transmitted alien signals coming into Earth.
Of course.
And probably a ham radio with a buddy named Pyle.
Gummer?
I don't care who it is, but Pyle has to be in the name somewhere.
Randall Pyle Johnson.
And I think those things, and then also you need to be working on a manifesto.
Oh, well, that just goes hand in hand.
All right. So we got good old boy from New York. He's moved to New Mexico. He's bought him a truck. He's got ham radio. He's got the trailer. He's got satellite. Mm-hmm. He's working on his manifesto. And then I can't think of a better scenario to be abducted than that one right there.
I honestly can't disagree with you. I think that is putting you in prime position to get at least an anal probe.
Hey, he didn't ask for that. He just said he wanted to be abducted.
Oh, well, if you're going full Monty on it,
okay,
you're catching the whole kit and caboodle.
Okay. No puns intended. Hey-o. All right. Well, I feel like we've answered that, and I really don't want to discuss that. Were there any good answers on the questions?
There was one of them that says you can go to Arizona. Well, that's basically
we're right,
New Mexico.
right in line.
Smoke some peyote buttons. I know what peyote is. I would assume buttons are maybe something to do with the peyote.
We're definitely not up to date on our
peyote.
I know. Do you smoke it? Do you drink it?
We
are definitely coming across as two really ignorant white people right now. Drinking our German beers.
Yeah. Got the all starts. But yeah, it says go to Arizona, smoke some peyote buttons. You may just get what you're seeking.
Or at least think that you are.
And thinking is half the battle.
Yeah, I would say probably most of it.
G.I. Joe. Go Joe.
Okay, I'm definitely done with that question. I feel like we've answered that.
I feel it was pretty solid. I think we hit Ricky Pile Bobby going with his trailer. I think that's a solid one right there.
Okay, all right. Well, good luck to him, Anonymous.
Hey, get that probing.
Yeah. All right, you got another question?
I do.
Shoot.
Well, this one comes in from Tom.
Oh, interesting. Very close to Todd.
Tom.
Okay.
We're probably just going to go ahead and call him Todd Tom.
Okay, so is this a typical Todd Tom question?
Most certainly.
All right, fire away.
All right, here we go. 2 days ago, I went to Subway and got a tuna sub. I put it in the fridge and never got a chance to eat it. Is it still good to eat now?
That's it?
That is it. That's all you get.
That's the question.
Give me some answers.
All right. First and foremost, you can't put something in the refrigerator. What does he say? What do you say in the question? I just lost. I had a good train of thought.
Put it in the fridge and never got a chance to eat it.
So you can't never get a chance to eat it and then get
a chance to eat it?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So first of all, vocabulary is lacking. But that's just me being a little bit on the picky side.
Well, you've only been a vocabulariist for 4 or 5 years.
At least 4 or 5 years.
Something like that.
Okay. That being said, never under any circumstance should you order the tuna sandwich from Subway.
Agreed.
I literally, I cannot think of a scenario where one would dare order tuna on a Subway sandwich.
Oh, I can.
Okay.
7-Eleven was out of tuna sandwiches.
7-Eleven has tuna sandwiches?
I'm pretty sure they do.
I mean, I would rather eat sushi from 7-Eleven than their tuna sandwich.
Yeah, well, you remember that old game on the computer called Oregon Trail?
Of course.
This is how people die of dysentery.
Now, see, that's interesting. That's a bit of context that's left out of the game. It just says, hey, you died of dysentery. And it doesn't give you any context whatsoever.
Because you ate a tuna sub.
Well, you know, I guess, even if you're going west and you get hungry and it was 1850 and there was a Subway shop in the middle of the forest, I still don't think it's acceptable to order the tuna sub.
Try and hunt and gather.
I think that would be better.
Berries.
Twigs.
Pine cones.
Leaves. Grass.
Trees, grass, and bamboo.
I mean, anything and everything's better. I'm telling you, if the Donner Party was in the midst of their starvation and they come across the Subway sandwich and all they had was tuna, you'd still prefer thigh flesh.
I think I'm gonna nibble on old Ricky Bobby Randy over here.
So your choice is to nibble on thigh flesh or to suck the tuna water out of the bread. It's not acceptable to ever order one. Okay, that being said, that taken care of, I wouldn't trust tuna fish sandwich in the fridge more than, I don't know, 2 days.
I wouldn't trust it coming out of the 7-year-old container that it's been sitting in at Subway.
That's a good point. Typically at Subway, I just wish the dividers were flipped.
Oh yeah. Keep them grubby old hands from dipping into my meats.
Yeah, as Mr. Gaffigan so succinctly put it, if I wanted to see a clinically depressed person make my sandwich, it wouldn't be at Subway.
How about that ice cream scooper that they use to just dollop that on there, just like a dollop of Daisy?
You know, I think Subway's missing a great opportunity to dramatically increase the quality of their tuna sandwiches by simply adding a drain hole in the bottom of the scooper.
Gross.
I mean, it makes so much sense.
I can just picture when you said that, the sound. Gross.
It sounds good. What? And then also, okay, just roll with me here.
Okay.
You go to Subway and you get Italian bread, and then they
yeah. Okay. I'd like Italian bread on this sub.
Okay. What are you doing?
I'm
reenacting this?
I'm acting.
I don't need you to reenact
this.
I need you to just think it.
Okay.
You know what?
Oh, well, this is gonna hurt.
This is why I hated you 20 years ago. So you go and you get Italian flavored bread or whatever it is. It's not real Italian bread.
I prefer the Parmesan oregano
flavored bread.
Yes.
Okay. So you get that, and then they ladle out the tuna fish.
Ladle.
Okay. What in the world kind of condiments do you put on a tuna fish sandwich?
Ranch dressing.
Gross. Is that it? Just tuna fish and ranch?
And jalapenos.
Goodness.
I think you take that and then add ham, turkey, and roast beef to try and drown out the tuna.
Wow. I don't know. I think the tuna drowns everything.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Literally, because
literally.
It comes out in a soppy, floppy mess.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we have put this one in the gutter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vomit.
Okay. So the ruling is never under any circumstance order a tuna melt from Subway. It's not even a tuna melt. It's just tuna.
No,
okay.
Tuna doesn't melt.
All right. Shout out to Subway, by the way.
There
if y'all want to send us a check, that'd be great. First sponsor, hashtag.
Woohoo.
Yeah, woohoo. McDonald's was a no-go. They did not like the McNuggets joke.
Didn't like that, huh?
I did reach out to them via Twitter and put our... I told them everything about the 413 Chicken McNuggets killing that guy, and then I asked succinctly what would the price be for 412 Chicken McNuggets, and they had no response for me.
Nothing.
Not a thing. Not a thing. Not a like, nothing.
I guess they couldn't even calculate the $42.83 that it was going to cost.
Because I don't know. I was very disappointed.
Shenanigans.
All right. Anything else on Subway, or are we about ready to wrap that one up?
I say we wrap that one up in some wax paper and throw it away.
That sounds good. By the way, was there any answers on there?
Yeah, there was an anonymous person, and if I answered with this, I would have wanted to be anonymous as well. But it says, yes, it's safe, but it might be soggy. I don't mind soggy, so I would eat, but depends on you. And
Gross.
that person probably has somebody tied up in their basement.
Yes, that's
Definitely a serial
a
killer.
possibility for sure.
Definitely a serial killer.
And probably one of those serial killers that has everything nice and orderly, since he doesn't like anything soggy.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. Okay, speaking of possible serial killers and people you don't want to hang out with, I have our third question today.
Ooh, question
And it's actually a relatable question to our very first episode.
Okay.
So if you haven't listened to that, you should go back, maybe not right now, but go back later and listen to that. This one is it healthy to drink someone's saliva?
That's it.
That's it.
That's all we get.
That's all you get. Is it healthy to drink someone's saliva? No context, no reason for questioning, nothing.
Is it healthy to drink somebody else's saliva?
Yes.
Well, I guess it could be. If you're going to want to do this, I would highly recommend a couple of precursor steps.
Okay.
Definitely get an AIDS test.
Gross.
For them.
Okay.
You're going to want to check and just run the gamut on the testing. And, I mean, if it's good, just guzzle away, bro.
What if you drank someone's saliva that had just eaten a tuna sandwich from Subway?
Well, then you die of dysentery.
Oh,
You're
God.
Clearly.
Definitely opt for the thigh flesh.
Yes.
Okay.
Thigh flesh.
All right. So there is one. So this was posted like a month ago.
Okay.
And there is one brave soul who
One answer?
person, yes. And
That's
by the way,
awesome.
the gentleman and or lady who asked the question, their name is Float on Harmony's Fire, which
I'm guessing that Harmony's got the fiery salives.
I don't know. Well, whatever it is,
Yep.
she's put more. I keep saying she. I don't know if it's a girl, but they've put more thought into their name than they did this question.
Sure.
So one brave soul wanted to answer, and this is Aruba who answered it, which again, a great name, and just said that is
Jamaican?
gross. Now here's what's interesting. It says that is gross and dangerous if they have diseases.
Ah.
So right
Yeah, see,
along,
that's where I was.
right along with you. So maybe a little sterilization before drinking of the saliva.
If you boil it first, then you should be able to kill all the bacteria in it.
What if you boiled it down to a place where it was kind of like a sugar reduction?
Oh.
Like you boiled it down and made a syrup.
What if you boiled it down? If it's like a sugary substance, boil it down and made a saliva caramel.
We might be onto something.
What would that be good on?
Well, probably poop bouillon.
Poop bouillons. You can throw that in, get some of that caramelized salivas,
You can make you a little gravy.
get that gravy sauce going with that poop bouillon, and put it on your ramen noodles.
Put it on your ramen noodles. Bam and done.
And dip in some chicken
How many
nuggets.
$1 million ideas have we come up with in just 3 episodes?
14, I believe.
I mean, we're way up there.
If anybody wants to become an investor, just let us know. You can email us at theseguysquestions@gmail.com.
And by the way, you should definitely email us some questions because the questions we're finding online are absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
It'd be great to have some real questions at some point.
From people that actually listen.
Yes.
That would be excellent.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm always going to find these questions because they're hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
But it would be nice to have some actual questions.
For sure.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to number 4. And this will be semi-serious. Typically, our first 4 questions are non-serious.
Okay.
But this one's a little more serious. And also, we're going to up the ante because the beautiful producer's in-house at the moment. So it's going to cause your answer to be a little bit skewed. I'm thankful that my wife isn't going to hear this until, a while from now. So I don't have to worry about it.
She's not going to listen to this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, my wife doesn't support me.
I don't blame her.
She's going to kill me for just saying that. Okay, here's the question. Would you and also this is a question that all of you out there listening, you should weigh in. And if we like us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, and shoot us your answers to this as well. Throw us an email. Would you divorce your spouse over a kiss?
Who is she kissing?
Well, I don't know. There's no context listed.
Now, if it's Ryan Gosling, Brad Pitt, I don't know.
Brad Pitt's like 75 years old.
I know, he looks good.
Well, that's fair, I guess.
I don't know. Who you like, baby?
No, you can't ask her. That's an out.
Oh, well, fair enough. If it's a gorgeous man, then I can't be too upset.
Are you kidding?
Because maybe I'd want to kiss him.
Well, you can't just give them an out because they're attractive.
And what was that movie? The Hall Pass?
Hall Pass.
I think that's what it was called.
So Hall Pass is the idea that everybody has like 4 or 5 selections in their pocket.
Yeah.
Like if at any given time you run into these people, you just get a pass.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to think about making a Hall Pass selection that's not a celebrity. Make a Hall Pass selection that's like Jenny down the street.
Oh, Johnny down the block.
Yeah. See, that doesn't fly nearly as well. The idea of the Hall Pass is that it's never going to happen. It's a fantasy.
Sure.
And therefore you can okay the fantasy. But if it's, Paul from accounting that we talk with every day, well, then it becomes a little more real and the Hall Pass no longer is valid.
What if it's Jenny from accounting?
It's the same thing. Now, careful where you're going with that.
No, I wouldn't divorce her.
Okay. Probably good answer with her sitting right beside you.
Just because, she's allowed one fuck up.
Interesting. One and done?
One and done.
Okay.
Is that fair, love?
All the
Here, let's let her weigh in on this one. Here you go, boo-boo.
But you didn't ask her if she even wanted to do that.
Just get a microphone put in my face. Okay.
Yes.
So the question is, would I divorce my spouse?
Correct.
If they kissed someone else?
Correct. With no other context than that.
Divorce is such a very harsh subject.
You might call it permanent.
That it would be yeah, exactly. And so on the logical side of things, if you are in a marriage and you are committed to that person, this wouldn't be a situation you would be in. But let's say you are.
Okay.
And divorce is so final and harsh, you would have to do a long, hard thought process about it. And in my case, I would feel betrayed.
Sure. And
you'd have to get the trust back. But I don't think that is grounds for divorce.
All right. Any thoughts to add? So basically, sounds like you can go make out with whoever you want one time.
I got a hall pass. Thank you for your input, my love.
Oh, goodness. Okay, don't do that. Probably not smart.
Yeah, I can't afford that.
No, you definitely cannot afford that. So I think obviously context is important. And the other thing I would say, if you're kissing at that point, if there's physical contact, there's been other things leading up to it. How long has this been going on? What have y'all been talking about? Are you emotionally cheating as well as physically cheating? Are you got one foot out the door? Are you ready to leave? I mean, obviously there's something going on in the house that's causing this kind of issue. And I have heard the argument before that men are more likely to do this than women because we're physical, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that is actually correct. I think that once an emotional connection's made between people, even outside of the bonds of marriage, men and women are just as likely one way or the other to fall into that trap.
Yeah, look at Pam from The Office.
Gonna bring up. I've never hated anyone more.
I want to elaborate on mine.
Oh no.
Yeah, I messed up.
No, that's okay. No, you bring up a good point, Reese, and I'm not good on the spot, so thank you for this. But you do bring up a good point of the fidelity and the fact of where are you standing in this situation? You know, what led you up to doing this?
Yes.
And the fact of the trust and the betrayal, that would probably be grounds for more things to happen.
Yes. I think that's...
Therefore, that would be grounds for a divorce if those things continue to happen.
Yes.
But if it was a situation of you macked on somebody...
Yep.
And that's it. You get a stern talking to, and then you probably have to, grovel for a little bit, and then you figure it out, because that's what you do in a marriage. You figure out how to work things out. But if you're to the point of physical contact with somebody else, there would probably be the thought of, is there more going on?
Yes, agree 100%. From a Christian perspective, divorce is rarely okay, in my opinion. Divorce is definitely a last option, and even if there's, let's say, emotional and physical infidelity, divorce is the last possible thing that we want to do. However, from a biblical perspective, any type of infidelity technically is grounds for divorce, and modern theologians even extrapolate that to just emotional, not even physical. But if you're cheating emotionally with your on somebody other than your spouse, if you're cheating on your spouse, even emotionally or financially, if you have money that you're
debt,
or whatever it happens to be, that's still grounds. So I definitely would not divorce over a kiss if it was insignificant. And what I mean by that is you go to a party and your spouse gets hammered and she kisses somebody. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine a scenario that a kiss just happens, but I guess it's possible. I would definitely say that probably you've got other things going on that need to be addressed.
Sure.
And some good marital counseling would be first and foremost. And probably maybe... No other thoughts?
Nope.
Okay. That's probably wise. Good wise man.
I will keep my mouth shut.
All right. Well, our 4 questions in the bank today. And so we're going to go to our next segment, which is one of my favorite segments. And we've just only done 2 of them now. So we're going to go to Cinemize with these guys.
Woohoo!
So, Cinemize with these guys today, what we're going to be doing is discussing a wonderful actor that recently passed away, Mr. Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
So maybe we just talk about some of the movies we really enjoyed with him. And what we're going to do is we're going to exclude all his James Bond movies as well as
Indiana
Jones. That's twice that I've done that.
Twice you blanked on it.
How in the world do you forget Indiana Jones?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But if I feel like in my childhood, he had such huge films that you didn't even have to include those.
Yeah.
There was just fantastic ones. I would say, I don't know how you want to do this, but my 2 favorites, probably The Hunt for Red October and The Rock.
Oh, well, number 1 is The Rock for me, hands down. One of my favorite movies.
It's a great movie.
And then you got Nick Cage too, so that's probably his only movie that's worth.
You know what, Con Air
was pretty good. I forgot about that.
I'd throw Con Air in there.
Not shabby.
And then also Lord of War.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Don't forget Lord of War. It's pretty. I don't know how we got off on freaking Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that was my fault. That was my bad.
But The Rock's probably one of the best movies he's ever made.
Yes, I think The Rock, in my eyes, The Rock is number 1, and you can't not have him in Highlander.
It's a good point.
He played a Spaniard.
Yeah.
With an English accent.
That's true. That's true. Very. I wonder if they just at the last minute were like,
oh shit, we need somebody.
hey, we got a little Sean Connery on the ringer here.
Can we afford him? Yes. Yeah. Get up.
So it's a Spaniard with an English accent played by a Scotsman.
Yes.
It's
brilliant.
Yeah, it's amazing. And also don't forget, they made a Highlander 2.
Yep.
I mean, so not just one weirdly.
They did it twice.
Yeah. Doubled down.
Yes, they did.
Doubled down.
It worked somehow. I don't know why it works.
That's true.
But it worked.
It worked. The first one was amazing.
Yep.
The second one kind of missed the mark in my opinion, but
I'm with you on that one.
First one was great. Notable mentions. Well, before we do notable mentions, the one he made in the 70s with Michael Caine was fantastic. It was The Man Who Would Be King.
Yes.
Great classic movie. If you're a young listener who maybe likes Fast and Furious movies with a lot of action, this probably isn't going to be your bag.
For you.
But if you're a movie guy and enjoy that, it's definitely worth checking out. And anything with Michael Caine's fantastic.
Yes.
And especially pair him with Sean Connery, it's going to be great.
Yep.
Notable mentions for me is a movie called Finding Forrester.
Oh my God.
And
Finding Forrester.
My roommate in college owned it on DVD. And I had never even heard of it. And I borrowed it, and we watched it, and, man, I fell in love with it. I bet I watched it 100 times.
Now, that's Robin Wood? No,
Nope.
not Robin Williams.
No, it's about him and this young urban kid, and he's like this hermit that lives up in the
Forests or
no. Slipping tonight. I've had one beer. I'm slipping tonight.
I don't even know you anymore.
So he lives in this building, and he's like this old hermit dude. And then this kid kind of builds this relationship with him. It turns out that this old hermit is like this world-renowned
physicist.
Not a physicist, but a professor, an English professor. And anyway, it's a great movie. So definitely a notable mention. And it's kind of a feel-good movie. And
I remember watching that, and I think I watched it with you because that was at the Bentwood.
The Binford. Yeah, may have been with old, well, I won't say his name, but Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good times. So that's a great movie, but I guess if I had to pick just one of him, I really think The Hunt for Red October takes it over The Rock.
I would respectfully disagree with you.
I'm surprised it's respectfully.
Well, I was being respectful.
Okay, that's fair. Well, we definitely are going to miss him, and what a great career.
Yes.
All the way from the late 50s to 2020.
Yeah. One of the longest running. He was the longest running 007.
Yes, and the best.
Yep.
And the
agreed.
best. I don't know how anybody in the right mind could argue that any of them were better than him.
Yeah.
But a lot of people disagree with my second choice because I'm a huge Pierce Brosnan fan. A lot of people don't like him. But Sean Connery definitely takes number one.
I think the only reason that I liked GoldenEye as much as I did is because of GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. I spent hundreds of hours playing that stupid game.
So what you're saying is you don't care about the actual movie. You just care about that they made a video game over it.
Well, the movie was decent, and I remember...
The movie is actually really good. The
It
movie
may have been
really good.
I just played that game through so many times that I remember the movie through the video game.
Yeah.
But
by the way, if you can hear obnoxious sounds outside, it's because we are in a very uninsulated shop.
Oh, we are in the doghouse.
Yes, we are in the doghouse, but we're joined by the wife that typically puts
me in the doghouse.
So that's an interesting turn of events.
Real quick, while we're on the potent notables or whatever we're calling it, I do want to throw Sean Connery was also in a brilliant movie that I always watch every year on St. Patty's Day called Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
That's true. I had forgotten about that. Not a great movie.
It's
not a great movie.
No, I love the movie.
It's not a great movie. You just there's no way around that at all. You can say
Darby
whatever.
O'Gill and the Little People.
No. It's almost as bad as you and your ridiculous obsession with Willow.
You shut your mouth.
It's not a good movie. I'm sorry.
It's
just
an
not
excellent
a good movie.
movie.
No, it's a terrible movie. So this would be something else we do in the future with Cinemize with these guys.
Argue.
We'll definitely argue for sure. But we should definitely do a 007 segment.
Oh, for sure.
And I will say, if there's anyone out there at all that suggests that Timothy Dalton or Roger Moore was the greatest 007, you can just go ahead and get out of here right now.
Yeah.
We do not need your kind of negativity.
Yeah, that negativity will not be standing.
Tolerated. There is 2, possibly 3 options for top actor, and neither one of those are on it.
Yep.
So
and there's only been like 6.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not allowed at least 2 of them. But anyway, we will definitely miss Mr. Connery, and maybe we should watch one of his movies later just to.
I feel like we should watch The Rock.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was gonna slap you if you were gonna suggest the stupid.
We should watch Darby. We should watch Darby O'Gill a little bit more.
I'll let you do that later, and then you really will be in the doghouse. Like
that's fair.
All right, we are gonna go to our next to last segment, which is my favorite segment, Thinky Blinders.
Thinky Blinders.
Mr. Beezy, I'm going to let you go first. Do you have a question for me?
I do.
Okay.
Do you think psychics are real?
Short answer, not just no, but hell no. and for a pastor to evoke the circles
wrath
of Hades to say no, I really don't. I've never. So we could loop a whole bunch of things into this particular question, and maybe it'll. We could definitely talk about some of this later on. But psychics, television evangelists, healers, spiritualists, New Age people, Wiccans, Wicca, those folks that rub crystals together and think that it'll cure cancer. All of that stuff.
Anti-vaxxers.
Anti-vaxxers, yes. All of that's hocus pocus to me. And anti-vaxxers, at the very least, have real life consequences for their actions.
Yep.
And I don't know. But no, I do not. And I will give a caveat. I'm not going to go so far as to say that it would never happen and cannot happen. However, I don't think that I've ever read of a case or definitely never met anyone I felt was legitimate.
Sure.
So that is my humble opinion. You know, Houdini spent the last 20 years of his life
crushing them.
And this was in the height of the spiritual movement in the 30s and 40s. And nobody, to my knowledge, was able to kind of get one by him.
Yeah, there is still, and I do not remember the name of it, but there's somebody that is offering $1 million to prove that they have psychic abilities. And this has been going for years, like decades.
Wow.
Nobody has ever been able to cash in because it's all shenanigans.
Hocus pocus.
Yeah, hocus pocus.
Yeah, so definitely not. In the church circles, you also have people that believe in healing, in laying on of hands, and speaking in tongues, and all this kind of weird religious hocus pocus. And I think it all falls in the same category. Most of it's emotionally driven. Most of it's manipulative. A lot of times it's a way to control people because you literally will tell a congregation you're not spiritually achieved. You're not even, some people go so far as to say you're not even saved if you don't speak in tongues. And well, what are you going to do if you're sitting in a pew and everybody around you
start doing an auction?
There you go. And then, you know, magically the Holy Spirit's moving in your life and you're saved. And in truth, you're just spouting a whole bunch of gibberish. I've been around some of these folks. I've seen them do it. I've been in the midst, and I've never felt in any case that it was legitimate.
Agreed.
So I will give a small caveat to say I'm not saying that it could never happen, but definitely I do not believe that there are any. I don't see. I'm contradicting myself just a little bit.
You are.
I think so. I think
it's all right though. You're allowed to contradict.
Maybe backed into a corner.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's fair.
I guess
that's why it's a thinky blinder.
Well, it is. It is. I don't. When we start ruling out things with with 0% chance.
Yep.
I think we're already in the wrong. I think most things there's a possibility of. So I'm not going to rule it out completely.
Sure.
But in the past 7,000 to 10,000 to 250,000 years of human existence, no cases that I have ever read or heard about hold up to scrutiny.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay. Good question. I like
Glad you liked
question.
it.
My question is not nearly as deep. However,
Hashtag deep.
All right. My question is an interesting one for you, and maybe not one that you got to think about, but then maybe we should think about it a little bit.
Okay, so fire off the cuff, and then we'll back up and
like
go
it.
again.
I like it. All right. If marijuana was legal in your state, and by the way, I'm saying if because that's a possibility coming up in our great state. If marijuana was legal to smoke in your state, would you smoke it, and why?
No.
Oh, I did not expect that answer.
I would love to.
Okay.
I have smoked marijuana every single possible way you could imagine. Pipe, blunt, joint, bong. I've done gravity bongs. I did knife hits from THC oil. Every single time I get sick as a dog.
Okay.
Like vomit. Turn white as a ghost.
So your high is not
My
not
high is
exhilarating?
no. It is not at all. Not at all a pleasurable experience for me. However, I have no problems with marijuana.
Okay.
I think it's the quote unquote the miracle plant.
Okay.
I mean, the plant itself has medicinal value. Hemp can literally do just about anything.
Okay.
You make fibers. I think they say that hemp can be used to make fuel.
Hemp fuel.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the exhaust would smell a little funky.
I mean, sure.
Maybe Cheech and Chong were on something whenever they're barreling down the highway and all that smoke's coming out.
With their weed car?
Yeah.
Or the weed van?
Yeah, the weed van.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at on that one. And
So you personally would not because it makes you sick.
Yeah, if I wasn't sick, if I found a way that I wouldn't get sick, then I'd be all over it.
What about edibles?
I actually have. I'm trying to think if I've even tried edible. I've had gummies,
Okay.
and I didn't get sick with gummies. Actually, I had gummies when we went to Colorado.
I almost thought you were going to say you didn't inhale.
I didn't inhale.
I mean, technically, that's
I mean,
true.
I swallowed them.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. So backtracking, should we as a state move forward in the legalization of this plant?
Most certainly.
Okay.
Most certainly.
All right.
The fact that it's going to clear up so many offenders, I guess. People are in jail. People are in jail. You get arrested for that. And of course, now I think Texas passed here recently to where small amounts are no longer, it's just a slap on the wrist, maybe a fine.
It's a misdemeanor charge. I believe it's a Class B misdemeanor.
Yeah.
But I don't know that for a fact. However, and again, I'm speaking out of ignorance here. This is just this is something that somebody told me. If you have any marijuana in a form other than the plant, it's a different classification and is actually a felony.
Right.
So you could have up to like 3 pounds of marijuana in plant form and it be a Class B misdemeanor. And if you're caught with one gummy, it's a felony because of the way that it's processed. So it's considered a
class. What is it? A Class A? Class A drug, I believe, or something.
What? It's a controlled Class A controlled whatever.
Controlled substance.
Yes. So that's interesting to me. The problem I have I have a lot of problems with the way our government works, but we have these patchwork laws, state to state, even county to county, on what's legal and what's not.
Oh, you have them state to federally.
Well, that's the next point. and then also on top of all of that nonsense, you have the federal government that can come in and also really ruin your life.
Yep.
Over something fairly, in like you said, a plant that seems a little bit insignificant. We had a case just a couple of years ago of a friend of mine who went to Colorado and legally purchased some pot and then went to the national forest and got caught, and it was a felony charge because he was on national forest lands,
government land,
falls under the federal jurisdiction.
Sure.
So I don't really like that, and I'm definitely on the libertarian side of things. I pretty much, if you're 18, if you're 21, if you're a full functioning adult and you can vote and you can serve your country overseas, if you can pull up arms against a foreign invader, but you can't drink a beer and you can't smoke a plant that grows in the ground.
Yep.
I got a hard time with that. And even if you go so far as to say, well, cocaine comes from a plant in the ground, well, chew it.
Well,
what
what
if you want
about
to grow it and chew it? That's on you.
What about Oregon? Oregon this week?
Well, probably not when this releases, but earlier this month.
Oh yeah,
definitely passed. I think they decriminalized almost all major drugs.
All major drugs in low quantities.
Correct.
With
the exception of heroin, I think.
I didn't read the whole article.
That does not surprise me.
I read the headline and I was like, oh well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So
good on them.
Good on them. I don't know. And so Portugal, and one other Amsterdam is halfway there. Portugal is full fledged. Everything's legal, and also in some of the like Sweden, I think, or maybe Norway, will have legalized clinical heroin.
Right.
So instead of getting it off the street,
methadone clinics.
Yeah. So there's definitely some workarounds, and I don't know if you really talk to them about it, I don't know anyone who say we've won the war on drugs.
Oh, you can't ever say that because it's put. When did that start?
The 70s. So this is Reagan.
Yeah, so the Reagan administration started the war on drugs.
Yeah, I guess probably started with Nixon, but it heightened under Reagan, and that's where the Just Say No campaign came from, and
Dare
and Nancy stepping out, and it was a mess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's over the years trillions of dollars and nothing. If anything, it's actually increased.
Agreed.
100%. There's more what is it? Meth.
Sure.
Overdoses, all that kind of stuff, because I mean, don't push the red button. People are gonna push the red button.
That's true. Great questions.
I
all.
Really liked that one. That was a good one, Reese.
Well, thank you guys for joining us on this third episode. We're sure excited, and give us some suggestions and thoughts and ideas. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and I think even Twitter.
Yep.
And then also emails. And so join up on those. Share your comments, your thoughts, your queries, your criticisms. We're a little thin-skinned, but we can take most stuff. And if we don't like what you have to say, we'll just block you. Yeah, so no worries on our part.
Yeah. So the email address is theseguysquestions@gmail.com. You can check out the Facebook and the Instagram is Fraternize with These Guys. I'm trying to think of what the @ is. I think it's @Fraternize with These Guys.
I think so. You just type that in, you'll find it.
Yep.
I hope
Can't
you
miss
find
it.
I don't. You might.
It'll have a picture of me and Pastor Pinewood.
Yeah. And also you can check out our show notes at wherever you download your podcast. So we really appreciate it. Also, our first sponsor is coming in, which actually is my other podcast. And by the way, we're not getting paid anything from that guy.
Yeah.
But you can check out.
I knows him.
Yeah, he's shady.
He's not going to do anything.
He's shady. But you can check out that podcast. We'll be releasing very soon if it hadn't already. That is called The Skeptical Zealot. And that is questions about religious topics and quasi-religious topics, mostly dealing with ancient history. It's really fascinating stuff. So
sounds amazing.
Be sure to check that out. Let's go right into our very popular last segment, which is in all of life's mysteries and troubles and 413 Chicken McNugget strokes, it could always be worse.
All right. So, it could always be worse. Let's roll with this one. This is from Anonymous. Today, while on vacation, I called my home phone to check the messages. Somebody answered. This is why you have friends that check out. And a security system.
I was fixing to say security system part and parcel.
Yes.
Also, this becomes not quite as bad if maybe they have a spouse.
Well, that or you don't have a landline.
Yeah.
Who has a landline anymore?
Yeah, so when you call yourself, it's your cell phone and you answer.
Hey, self. Just checking on yourself. No messages today? Thanks, self.
But definitely bad case scenario.
Yeah. It can always be worse.
Always be worse. And what kind of maniac is robbing your place or doing God knows
answering
what
your
and
phone?
answering the phone whenever it rings?
Maybe he's trying to get that extended car warranty for her.
Oh, there you go.
They've been trying to reach her.
Yeah, well, that's what better way to reach her than to, go parading around her house. And
Exactly.
ironically, they finally get her on the phone when she calls her house and they're in her house trying to sell her an extended car warranty.
Yep.
And then they should be trying to sell a security system because they could probably make that sell at that point.
That's true. That is very true.
All right. Well, thank you guys again. We're going to leave you with one last final thing. Our last segment of the day, shower thoughts.
Shower thoughts. Here we go. Your nipples are older than your teeth.
Go ahead and ponder on that for the rest of the week. We will catch you next week right here doing the same thing we've been doing. We love you guys. God bless y'all. Have a great, safe afternoon.
Love you guys.